So, quite often in art, things don't quite go how you think that they might. And this tutorial is definitely going to be one of those. I've lost count of how many things went wrong in this tutorial. So I am re-recording my introduction to reflect this. So I'm doing this a little bit backwards, but you'll get there in the end. Welcome. Welcome if you are new and you're thinking, who is this? Who is this woman? My name is Cate Field. I'm an artist, teacher and a speaker, and I am absolutely passionate about helping people develop their creativity, and making mistakes and things going wrong is part of the creative practice. It just is. Welcome back, all you lovely, lovely ones who have been with me for a while. And that includes you, Kay Freeman, because I'm going to do a little shout out for you, my lovely, because it's your birthday. Well, it isn't, is it? Because your birthday is actually on the 29th of February. And you sent me a wonderful, wonderful message, and it got me kind of thinking that what happens if you are born on the 29th of February? When do you celebrate? Do you celebrate at the end of February, 28th? Or do you celebrate the beginning of March? So you told me, Kay, that you celebrate on the 28th of February. So happy birthday, Kay. And if you are all ready, let's go. So this is going to be a lot of fun. This is the last tutorial in the Heartscapes project. So this is the last one of February. Anyway, I am going to be using my gel plate, some acrylic paint, some acrylic pens, a variety of stencils. Oh, here we go. I'm just going to create sort of some abstract shapes with the stencils, but I'm also going to be using torn paper, torn bits of card, and to create all sorts of wonderful things. So we're going to start off by cleaning our paint and putting a little bit of pink. We're going to go straight in with pink. So putting the paint across the plate, quite a thin layer. That's all we're going to do to begin with. I'm going to take this stencil here. I'm just going to pop that there. Now the paper I'm going to be using some rice paper, some tissue paper, so it's quite thin, and some just ordinary copier paper, because I'm going to be using these for collage. So I'm just going to take our first little ghost print on here, which will give us that kind of effect, which is quite fun, isn't it? That's quite a fun one. I'm just going to lift that, leaving this bit for the moment. I'm going to take another piece of paper. You have to have your paper all kind of ready. They're not stuck together like I've got here. Let's just pop that one there. We're going to pick that one up. Now this will be the one that I love. I know that that's going to be one that I will use over and over again. Leaving this space here. Oops, I'm just going to move that. I'm going to add some more paint, this time some white. Again, you don't need to use very much. I haven't cleaned this brayer, so it will have pink on it as well. I'm just going to put some, you have to rub quite hard. So it's still quite cold in my studio, so I'm just going to put that paint on there. You see, I'm just blending that in like that. We're going to pick up another stencil. It's this one here. Get my paper, lay it across like that. Bring that up. That's quite nice, isn't it? There are so many things you can do with a gel plate. And oh, there are some wonderful, wonderful tutorials on YouTube that you can watch as well. Some of my favourite ones. Again, this is very, very subtle, this one, which is fine. Let's just get that a little bit more. So if you haven't used a gel plate before, just have a play with it. It's the only way I think that we can learn is just by doing. We just have to do it. There we go. So we don't have to use stencils. We can use all sorts of things. So I'm just going to use this little stick here, and I'm going to start to play around with the heart design, just sort of drawing some spirals, just making some marks. It could be quite fun. Just going to leave that like that. Just going to pick this other bit of, just the other end of that bit of paper really. Let's just see how that comes out. Oh, that's tearing a little bit. So again, these are very, very pale, which is what I wanted because this is going to be a background. So I am going to start to put a darker colour onto this. Ooh. And this is going to be blue. Just going to put a little bit of blue on here. Just put it across like this. We'll just go a little bit spotty to begin with. The most common mistake people make is to put too much paint or too much ink. When we're printing, we don't need very much. You can get some fantastic results. There we go, that's that kind of like soft blue, which I like. I'm going to put that same one, and now I'm going to use this one that I've just done. I'm going to go over the top of it, so it's going to have multiple layers. There we go. Let's you see what happens there? So the little heart shape underneath is very, very subtle. So let's just lift that one, and let's put this bit over the top. Yes, and I see this is what I really like. I love this sort of texture, this combination of the patterns and the colour. So I'm going to do a few more like this in exactly the same way. And then I'm going to show you what I do with these collage pieces once they are dry. But before we do that, I'm just going to do a piece where I'm not using a stencil at all. I'm going to be using just cut out and torn out paper. So again, I'm just going to put this kind of cloudy blue, which I think works quite well. And we're going to do a couple of sort of multiple layers, and I'll show you how I do that. So I'm just putting some bits of cutouts here. This is just a bit of cardboard. That was just one from a punch, but these ones are done by hand. Let's just pop those like that, pressing them into the plate. And I'm going to take some sheet, just this bit here. Now obviously there's going to be a lot of just blue in the background. Let's just gently bring that so we have that kind of negative space, and then I'm just going to pull these off, and they'll just be the slightest hint, which can just look really good. Let's just see. Again, I'm never quite sure how things are going to come out, so that's quite subtle, isn't it? And again, I will overprint this with another colour. going to stick to the pink and the white for the moment. Let's just add a bit more blue. And I'm still going to continue to create these background pieces. So I do hope you are well. And thank you for all your fantastic comments. And for those of you who have joined in with the Heartscapes project, it's very, very exciting. I've been a little bit overwhelmed actually by how many people have wanted to join in and have submitted their pieces. And if you would like to do that, the deadline is the 4th of March. So you need to tell me what you would like to enter. All the details are in the description. Oh, here we go. And it's just going to be a lovely celebration of community, because that's the whole point. Of joining together of people who just like creating art. And that's a whole mixture of people. So some people who have never submitted anything to a project, to people who've done it loads of times. And that's, oh, it's all good. It's all good. Right, so I'm just going to create this layer. I may keep it a little bit blotchy. So I'm going to have some bits darker than others. Ooh, it does kind of move around quite a bit. Like that. Then I'm going to get my circles. No, I wasn't going to do a stencil, was I? I was going to do torn paper. Oh, dear me. So I was getting a little bit carried away there. So this is just ordinary copier paper. And I'm just going to tear it into some strips that I'm going to place on the plate. Again, I'm just creating some background ideas. Sort of show you the different things that you could do. There we go, just putting these here. You'll see why I'm doing this in just a moment. Just put that there. And I'm just going to use a piece of copier paper. I'm just going to lay that over there like that, press it down, put it up quite gently, and then what I'm going to do is use this in my journal, and then these spaces I will write in, and I'm going to leave this one just as it is because I quite like it. I'm just going to lift these up a little bit. No, I'm not. I'm going to do something else. I just had a thought. I do like a thought. I'm going to put some paint over the top of these. Just be a little bit gentle. I'm going over the top. Now, I know this is going to get very messy. I just wanted to put a bit more paint on these. That, and now I'm going to very carefully peel these off. I might use them because they're quite nice. They're nice colours. I'll just put them on another piece of paper. Just going to peel all of these off. So I've peeled most of them off. There is still some paper left on there, but that's okay because it's going to create quite an interesting texture. Pull that off. Yeah, again I'm going to have sort of some of these spaces. So this was the original one, and then we've got this one, and there will be, if I put them like that, you can see quite interesting in my journal. Right, so I'm now going to just clean the whole plate. Now you don't have to use acrylic paint. You can actually print with watercolours, but you do have to work quickly. So I'm just going to show you, because you get some
it's just such an interesting effect. You can see straight away that the paint doesn't really like being on here, but I think you can see that we're actually going to get some quite interesting textures. So I've got a bit of watercolour paper from a sketchbook. Just going to pop that there. It's quite thin paper actually for watercolour paper, but you get this sort of effect. And I really like it. And I think it's one of the kind of quite underrated techniques in using a gel plate, and people don't use it so much. And I actually really like it. I think it makes really good textured pieces. And these, I like the lines. So I'm just going to try a few more of these. Oh, and it is that kind of what happens if, which I really like. And you can see I'm just using one side of the gel plate. Let's put in a little bit of this sort of moss green, which I do absolutely love. You do have to use quite a bit of water so that we're kind of activating the paint. Let's just put that one on there. If I was to use tissue paper, it would be a little bit too soggy and you'd have to be very careful. Let's just add, yeah, maybe that will work. We'll see what that looks like when it dries. I just wanted to show you this because I think you can get bogged down with kind of the techniques and we forget to play. And it's the playfulness that helps us to grow as artists and creators. Right, I'm just going to leave that on there for the moment. Leave those ones to dry. I'm going to go back to the blue. Again, just keep it quite light. And now I've lost the pink. Oh, here we are. Just going to add some pink directly on to the plate. Kind of just bring that in. So I'm going to get this purpley colour. Again, it's just making it quite even, but I'm not worrying too much about it. Now, what I've done is I've torn out some hearts, just ordinary copier paper. Sometimes I use newspaper as well. So I'm just going to pop those there, my little paper hearts. I'm going to pick up my bit of my stencil. Let's just perhaps put that over the top like that. And again, I'm going to take some of this and I'm just going to lift part of it. Now that's quite subtle. I'm liking that. Let's just move that a little bit down here. Again, just trying out some ideas. And the other pieces that I did a moment ago are nearly dry, so that's going to be good. Let's just put that, lifting that bit there, like that. So this is coming along. Let's put that one to dry. And now what I'm going to do is get another piece and just print the whole thing. So I have my circles and my hearts. And again, what I want to do is to create some spaces where I can put some words. And I really like this background. That's working really well. Lift these. They might just tear. Yep, they're going to tear. So I just need to very carefully lift these off. And I'm going to do another layer. Now with this one, I'm actually going to leave the pink to dry a little bit. So it's going to dry on the surface. So I leave it for about 5 minutes to dry. And as always, when I'm leaving something to dry, I always make sure I'm doing something else. So I'm going to retrieve all the pieces that are drying and see what they're like, start sort of bringing them together, and then we'll be back and you'll see what I do next. So this is quite dry. So it looks a little bit shiny, but I'll do that. And obviously I still have got some pink on my brayer. Again, because I just want to show you that you can just build up this idea of multiple layers and get a print that is totally unique. So it's covering that, so the pink is underneath, very thin layer, and then I'm going to use one of my letter stencils. I'm just going to lay it over like that. And I'm going to take this one that we did earlier. I'm going to use it on another half of the paper. Press that down. So I just want to get that image first of all, because I like this kind of multiple patterns and layering effect. I think that can work very well. I'm just going to lift that up, because that's going to be very exciting. But I'm going to leave this to dry a little bit, and then I'm going to put on another layer of paint. I actually ended up leaving this overnight because I got distracted by something else. So this is completely dry, so I've got the gel medium. Now what I'm going to do is to put another layer of paint on here. I'm just doing a mixture of very dark blue and a lime green that has a slight metallic hint to it, a slight shimmer. Just sort of moving the paint across. Again, it just needs to be quite thin. I've got these other images underneath. I'm going to see what happens. And some things can be an absolute disaster. That's just the way it goes sometimes. Now what I want to do on top of this is I just want to use some screwed up plastic. It's very noisy, isn't it? To make some marks. So it'll be quite subtle. I like using different types of materials to make different marks. It really is very noisy. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a sheet of 300-gram watercolour paper, and this is the bit where you really have to press down. So I'm going to do that for a while. I'm just using my hands, just the warmth of my hands, to really press into the paper before we then pull the print. So just making sure that it's all done. I'm just going to lift a little bit, see if we can see anything. No, it's not quite there. It just needs to push it down a little bit more. Say it's always a little bit of an experiment to see what's going to happen. So I'm just going to show you that. Can you see that there's still quite a bit on the plate, and I still want to pick that up. And again, sometimes it will work and sometimes it won't. So let's just pull that as it is. It hasn't quite worked how I wanted it to. I wanted there to be more of the pink, which is still on there. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to activate this a little bit more by just squirting some water onto it, and I'm going to lay this back on. It doesn't matter if it doesn't go on perfectly, just to see if we can lift that print a little bit more, but it might just be be too dry. But you never know. And this is the joy of kind of working with this sort of printing. I actually quite like that. And I like the sort of the hints of pink. There's still a lot on here. I'm going to see if we can just lift that on a bit, because that wasn't quite what I wanted. But as you all know who have watched me for some time, I'm not afraid to show you my mistakes and the things that don't quite come out how I want them to. Yeah, this has really got completely stuck onto my plate. Oh, the camera's gone a bit weird as well there as well. This is all going slightly wrong, isn't it? Never mind. Never mind at all. I'm just going to pop a bit more gel medium on here just to see if I can lift it, because sometimes we can just lift it a little bit with the gel medium. But even if this doesn't work how I wanted it to work, I will still absolutely use this because I really, really like it. So let's just give it one more attempt. No, it's not happy, is it? It is absolutely not happy. Never mind. We will move on. Oh dear, it is quite funny when things just go very wrong. So we're going to try again. I'm going to just put in a bit of glue. Oh dear, I can't even get the words right now. I hope you're having a better day than me. No, that's true. My day is not going badly at all. I've met up with some lovely people. I've taught some students. It's just the videos that are going a little bit squiffy, but you know, this is what happens. Okay, right, I'm going to put in a whole variety of different stencils on this plate. Just going to try out. I would just really want to emphasize that the playful aspect of creating art is very important, and that this whole idea of trying out things. I'm just going to lift this up. See, I really like this idea of different types of patterns overlapping, and I think this is where we can use stencils in a very, very creative way, because otherwise it all gets a little bit samey. Now I want to put on another layer, and knowing how my my luck is going at the moment, I've got no idea whether this is going to even work or not. So let's just pop on a bit of pink and see what happens. So this is a little bit of pink acrylic paint over the top of what I've just done. Well, at least I haven't got a squeaky brayer like I had the other week, which was really funny because it was just going squeak, squeak, squeak. It was very silly. Right, I'm going to use this one that I've just done. I want this idea of multiple layers. This is going to go into the journal, and then I'm going to put my kind of heart designs over the top. Right, that's more like it. I wanted this almost kind of becomes quite a grungy look, but I really like it. I've still got some paint on there. Let's just see if we can pick a bit of that up. Again, this is the rice paper. Yeah, there's a little bit there. That's quite nice. Right, I'm going to carry on because I'm on a bit of a roll now. It's all fine. Let's put a bit more of this this pink, and I'm going to just be using up bits and pieces now, and then I'm going to pull it all together. Oh dear me. And if you haven't joined the Facebook group, I know I have spoken about it before, but it is such a friendly group. So even if you do nothing else on Facebook, oh my goodness, it's lovely. And lots of you now are posting your entries for the Heartscapes project, and I have been blown away. Oh my goodness. And what's so nice are those of you who've said, oh, you know, I'm no good at this, I've never entered anything, I've only just started to do this, but you've given it a go, and oh my gosh, it's just fabulous. And I'm going to say the deadline is Tuesday the 4th. Right, I'm just going to put another bit over there. Put this. I love the idea of layers. It just makes things so interesting. And you know, this piece now is kind of, there's some real interest going on here. Right, I am actually really liking these colours. Right, I'm going to go back to this one that I did earlier on. I'm going to start to just press that in, create these totally unique collage papers. Look at that. So this is where my heart is. I love doing things like this where you're not quite sure what you're going to get, and sometimes you get little treasury bits like this. That's just gorgeous. Right, I'm going to carry on and do I will just do one more. I'm just going to do another idea just to show you, but again, really emphasizing the playfulness. And this is when we're working with kind of abstracts, when we're working with printing, but it's a little bit of unpredictability that I think is very exciting. So I've got this here, but you can put other stuff onto your jelly plate. So I'm going to be using a bit of sponge. This is a natural sponge, but I'm also going to use a scouring pad, because these are all going to make textured marks on the plate. And you can kind of do swirly bits on that as well. And obviously I could just lift something on that, but I'm going to go back to my circles. So I'm going to pop those on, and I'm going to go back to these ones as well. And I've picked up this one that I did earlier, and we're just going to layer this over there. So picking up different kind of marks, different shapes, different textures on top of what I've already done. Let's just lift that one up like that. And now I'm going to put on some white. Might be a little bit too much there. I'm going to get a slightly different effect with this. Just pressing the colours in. Ooh. Like that. I'm just going to pick up a clean piece. I'm just going to go over the top. So I haven't put any more marks on that. So I just want to have a very kind of subtle background. Just see what's happening there. I really like that actually. That's going to be a very nice collage piece. Let's just put some more Right, and basically I've got my paint here and I'm just going to be using up bits, which is what I do tend to do at the end of a class when I've got leftover paints. I get the students to do collage papers, and then they will keep those tucked away in their folders to be used at another time. Because quite often when we're just using up some paints, we will put colours together that maybe we wouldn't normally do. And that again can be something that's really quite exciting. So I'm just going to use the edge of the sponge again, and then I'm going to get my screwed up, very noisy bit of plastic again. It's quite seriously noisy, this, but look at the textures you can get. Oh, love it, just love it. I'm going to get another sheet. This is where you have to have your sheets of paper ready. Just going to lay that over the top, so straight away I know I'm going to get some very interesting texture. Let's just pull that. Look at that. That is just beautiful. Just beautiful. Just going to pop that there. So we've got another one. And I'm going to go back to my letters. Let's just pop my letters on there. And again, I'm just going to do a couple of multiple layers. Let's just bring that up. I do get very messy, very, very messy when working with printing. And I just want to pick up a little bit of this. Ah, that paper wrinkling has just, oh, it's just taken me on another little journey. Right, I've just had a what if moment. Let's just put a little bit more of this left over. There we go. There. There we are. Yeah, so I just had a thought. If I take, I'm just going to take a scrap of paper actually and screw the paper up and then open it out. I'm going to put my circles back on. I'm going to pop that there. I'm going to put my other circles one on that. I'm going to go back to this one to just take this first print. I think having the circles on top would look really good. I'm going to lift those up. You see, I've got those. I'm going to take my screwed up bit. Just going to pop that onto there. Lift that up, and then I'm going to straighten that out. And where the wrinkles are, it all starts to become really quite exciting. There we go. Let's just get some other little edges. Picking that out to be just a hint of a few letters on this one. Before we just do one more experiment. So this is the letters one that I had there as the ghost print, and let's just rub that one down. Yeah. So you just get this lovely texture. Okay, I'm not going to clean the palette. I'm just going to put some paint on top, and then we're going to do something else. So again, I'm just using up my paint. I'm not going to put any other any additional paint. I'm just using up the leftovers, putting it onto the palette, not with the roller this time, but with a sponge. It's almost like it is like I'm painting with the sponge onto the plate. I think that works. It works really well for a whole variety of things. And now I'm just going to use newsprint paper. It's very, very thin. I'm not going to put any stencils or marks or any more other than the sponge. Just going to lay that one on top like that. Yeah, that's. I'm liking that. That's going to be fun. Let's just do that bit as well. And I have a whole collection of these papers that I will just use for all sorts of things. Right, I'm going to go in now with an acrylic marker. And so this, again, it's a sort of a technique that a lot of people don't think about, which is a shame really, but remembering that the acrylic paint in the pen will dry very, very quickly. But you can, you know, obviously there I was just doing some dots. Let's just put a few more dots. You can put marks. Let's really just start to have some fun with it. Let's just get another piece of newsprint. See what we get. You're going to get a whole kind of mixture of of effects, but again, I really just wanted to show you this because it's kind of one of these things that people just don't do, because it's like, oh, I never thought of doing that. But you might well have thought of doing it, and you've been doing it for years. But again, it's that, oh, it's a bit like when we were using watercolours. You know, people say, oh, you can't use watercolour on a gel plate. Yeah, you can. You're going to get a different sort of effect, aren't you? That is the point. I'm going to put a little bit of blue on this as well. And when you kind of really start to experiment and play, that's when the magic happens. I'm going to take the same bit and I'm just going to go on top of what I've just done. Again, this whole idea of multiple layers, and you get this sort of energy. Again, might not be your thing, and that's okay. That is absolutely okay. But as I would say to all of my students, and I am kind of imagining you in my classroom and what I would say, and this is what I like. And I would say to them, yeah, it might not be your thing, but have you tried it? And have you learnt something from it? And even if what you've learnt is actually, I really don't like that, then that's fine. But until you play with it, you won't know. And I think is kind of the essence of my whole art practice and my whole teaching philosophy. Because if you just stick, oh, look at that. If you just stick with doing what you've always done, you're not going to grow. You're really not. Right, I'm just going to do this last one now. There we go. There's some really lovely patterns and textures. So I'm just going to leave these ones to dry just for a little bit, and then I'm going to go back and show you what I've done in my journal. So let's just finish off this slightly chaotic tutorial with showing you what I've done in my journal. So I've just got a little label down there. And it's all ready for me to put in some poems, some words. I might do some more doodles. Got these spaces here just waiting for some lines, and I've cut out some shapes. So I've got something on every page, and I've still got lots of collage papers left over. I'll just pop that one on the back so it's all ready to go.
I really do hope you've enjoyed that one, and I hope it's inspired you to try new things with that kind of getting rid of the fear of what might go wrong, because quite often things will go wrong. And if you haven't liked or subscribed and this is something that you've enjoyed, and if you've got this far, that would be absolutely lovely. Thank you very much. And a very happy birthday to all of you who have your birthdays on the 29th of February. And also, if it's today, on the 28th. And if you'd like to see some more, you could look at this one and this one. And I'll see you next time. Bye bye.